one of the coolest shops I've ever been to. I'm so excited.
Have you ever met Mr.
They all have a little bit of a story to them. I still have it. I bought that thing in 1985 and I still have it. This is just the Proto ones I have. The Snap-on ones are over there. Back in the 80s, stereos were getting stolen left, right, and center. And I worked in the dealership and that was how you take the stereo out.
Look at this place. Amazing. Hi, Boom. But today we've got Jeff. Jeff, thank you so much for meeting up with me, man. I really do appreciate
Boom had something to say.
Just walking outside, like even from the outside, this place looks amazing.
Well, thanks. This is my place. This is the shop. I live upstairs. We work on just about anything in this building.
Really?
But,
Okay.
yeah.
So do you do, is it just mostly personal vehicles that you work on here, or is this like customer paid vehicles?
Everything you see out here is customer stuff that we squeeze in between car commercials and TV shows and stuff. And a lot of the stuff here is guys that have sort of collections, small collections of cars that we kind of take care of this stuff for them.
I guess I should back up a little bit. So you're a stunt driver.
Yes, sir. I'm a stunt driver and motorcycle rider
Okay.
in films.
And so I guess you work on a lot of the stuff you work on for the stunts.
For those shows. I'm not, the guys that work for me are those guys. I drive the cars and ride the motorcycles, drive big trucks and stuff. I work on stuff in the shop, but usually the stuff I work on here is stuff we're working on for customers when I can.
And you have like this place just decked out. And this is like making a cool noise. I just noticed.
Yeah, I hope
So
that's not
cool.
bothering you.
No, that's so cool.
It's funny because you can modernize a sign and put modern things on them and they won't make that noise, but I actually like that noise.
I do too.
It's a mechanical thing that's in them. I didn't always have all these signs and stuff. I gotta tell you, this stuff, over years, I find these at swap meets. I go to a lot of swap meets.
Yeah. Okay.
I love swap meets and you can get good deals on tools and find tools that they don't make anymore.
Sure. Yeah. Find some treasures there.
Yeah, I like tools that are made in America. I'm pretty big on that.
So I see it says Jeff Milburn Racing. Did you do some racing at one point?
A lot of racing. That's how I ended up in the film business.
Oh, okay.
That's how most stunt drivers are. That they race something. I raced off-road when I was in high school. I raced cars, so raced some short course stuff, and I raced motorcycles for a while. And then later on, I'd worked on other people's race teams, and I worked on some Top Fuel teams, and I ended up being a crew chief, and then we actually ran a Craftsman truck out of this building.
Really?
Yeah, I worked the best I could. It's very hard to do and very hard to afford it, but I had some marketing partners that helped us through it.
Well, you have like a massive epic here. How long have you had this box?
Man, I knew you were going to ask me that, and I don't remember what year I bought it. I really don't. I have a feeling that I bought this toolbox the year Epics were introduced.
Oh, really?
So I don't know what year that was.
Okay.
I don't remember. I remember the ordeal of getting it, but I don't remember that. And I bought it all at once. I traded the box I had in before, which was it was the biggest box I could get from Snap-on at the time.
Really?
The biggest bottom with the two tops and the side lockers. And I traded it in on this. Man, my dog is very intent on knowing what the heck's going on here. She wants a treat is what it is. Give me your paw.
It's the most adorable dog.
Good girl.
Look at that. Good girl.
She's not that adorable, people. That is a roosh.
That's awesome. Is it pretty full, I guess?
It's very full.
Is it?
It's very full. And as I don't know if I said earlier or not, but since we work on stuff in the film business and I had been racing and I'd raced different things, like my original race car was a Volkswagen engine buggy, and then raced motorcycles. And so, I raced Kawasaki's for a while, raced Hondas for a while. And then I always have had Harley Davidson since I've been able to. And then I worked at a dealership, and then I worked on Top Fuel cars and all these different things, did a lot of fabricating. So I have to have different tools for all this different stuff. And then once we really started doing a lot of film business stuff, realizing, man, I have to buy special tools for Volkswagen and special tools for, Toyotas. And then we have a deal where we do some work on McLarens when they get damaged. I fix their chassis for them. So and then all these special tools for every different race car I ever worked on. And the left side has my standard sockets, the left top, and the right side has my metric. And then it's kind of standard and metric as I need them divided, like the taps and dies that are standard on this side, the metric on this side, and the wrenches and that sort. And I also have a roll cart. I don't know if you've seen, I have an Epic roll cart that has a lot of, I have too much stuff. We want to start on one end and
Yeah, let's do it.
The top lockers are a lot of storage, but I have my buffers and things like that up there.
Okay.
I have portable belt sanders that I keep them up there, but my buffers and stuff are up there. That's kind of boring, I guess. I don't know. On this side is, God, I have too much junk. Different test equipment and stuff is over here.
Okay.
I hope you edit some of this out. These are some clamps.
Looks like older stuff too. Like,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, when you work in a dealership, you have the Mac guy comes on Friday, and that's when I don't throw my stuff away. If I wear it out, I do, but I have a lot of special race car tools in here.
Okay.
These are for putting fittings together for hoses. I have, this is for lining up rear ends. Man, I could pull all this. This is for setups on race cars, a lot of things like that. This is from the dealership analyzer. I have clamps in here. I don't do much fan clutch stuff, but when I need to, I got that. I have a lot of rethreading stuff because and this isn't all of it, but there's a lot of different rethreading stuff. This is all different kinds of taps and dies and things, and I have so many different sets. That's one of the original sets that I had. Most all this is rethreading things. Even have the bigger stuff was the bigger hub stuff when we do truck things. We had to take care of our own 18-wheeler when we were racing. I couldn't afford to, so we had to do it. So there's a lot of things like that. Oil changing stuff. This is a lot of race car setup stuff. Different spanner wrenches. There's a lot of race car stuff in there.
Like when you say race car stuff, what is?
These are toe plates. When you're setting up your race car, like especially in the garages and at a racetrack, you use toe plates to do your toe instead of, because you don't have a front alignment machine at the track, so you use toe plates. And this is one of my caster camber gauges from racing. You see, so you put it on the hub for your, because you have to reset your, you go out and practice and then you might change your setup and stuff.
Yeah.
So here's something I bought. This set right here I had no idea I was ever gonna have to own this. This is for German cars. This cost me a fortune, and I don't hardly ever use it. But since we did some Volkswagen shoots, I had to buy that whole set.
Those purple square.
Yeah, well, I'm not even sure what they're called. I should know better. There's some more toe plates. These are some special Penske shock tools from Hutchinson Pagan, which was a great place that you'd buy things from. So that's a lot of race car stuff. Man, my stuff all just barely fits in here. This drawer I hardly ever use anymore. I can't stand doing AC work anyway.
Okay.
But every once in a while I have to do some AC work. So this is a bunch of my AC stuff. The dog is very not entertained by the AC work. And since I do a lot of older cars, I have to have R12 stuff and the 134 stuff. Spec books for old cars. I need that because you want me to keep going?
Absolutely.
Okay.
This is great.
Fender covers. My welded helmets are in there. I try to keep. It's hard to keep your gloves straight, but I keep a clamp on the gloves. Those are new gloves.
Sorry, what? You keep a clamp on?
Oh yeah, you know how easy it is to lose your gloves. So mechanics where I used to have a deal with mechanics where we raced. So they would supply us with stuff, and they used to, when you got mechanics gloves, they come with these gloves, but it's great to keep them together. So
that's genius.
Yeah. So here's more race car stuff. That's all these AN wrenches.
Okay.
I think I've told you that we do some upholstery stuff. So I have foam cutter for upholstery. This is a special tool for riveting Harley Davidson brake drums. Like must have.
Like you realign them?
The older Harley Davidsons with drum brakes, the rear drums have the sprockets on them.
Okay.
So when the sprockets wear out, you have to drill all the rivets out and then re-rivet a sprocket to them.
Huh.
I have very few cordless tools, but that's my chargers for them. And there's a lot of, things for fuel injection or carburetor stuff. Like I said, I buy things at swap meets, and when I see made in America stuff, like even if I already have one and I know they don't make them in America anymore, I might buy a second one so when I wear mine out. Man, I bought this when I was a teenager. It's a flow meter for sitting carburetors, like especially if you have dual carburetors or 4 carburetors. I bought this off the tool truck when I was a teenager when I bought this.
Huh.
And I still use this damn thing today, and I'm almost 60 years old. The dog is not impressed. Let's see, all kinds of stuff in here. I've had this pressure gauge. I bought this when I was about 19 or 20 when I worked in the dealership. There's some different things. What's in here? Oh, I have a few different, I have too many compression gauges, but they're all different ones used for nitrogen and shocks. This is another tool when I was a crew chief that I used a lot. Shock gauge for nitrogen.
Huh.
Boom wants to know what's going on in there. This drawer probably, this has a disconnect stuff, and it's a big disconnect set.
Whoa. Okay.
You know, I didn't buy that on the tool. I bought this at a swap meet.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't need it that often, but when I do, and then a couple of broken tools, and a friend of mine left his gloves here, and I put them in that drawer. A fish scale to set up my bandsaw. I know that's important, right? Do you want to see up there? Here,
Sure.
I'll let you.
Okay.
You step yourself up there.
Okay.
I try to keep I keep my impact sockets and the big truck sockets on the left, and the chrome sockets on the right.
Oh my gosh, it is just packed up there.
I know, and I kind of purged a little bit recently too, and
Really?
gave some to one of the guys that works for me, and I sold some a little bit because I had doubles and triples and quadruples.
Oh, this is amazing. Same thing on that side?
Yeah,
too?
that's metric on that side. There's all kinds of,
my
and some of that stuff I've had from back in my dealership days, and some stuff I bought at swap meets, and all kinds of goodness. There's I'm trying
Sorry.
to think if
Do
there's,
you mind if I grab some?
grab whatever you want.
What is this?
These are two. They're sitting on top of each other. They're for oil filters.
Oh, okay.
They're not that exciting. I have some really cool, strange stuff over here.
Oh,
over
yeah,
on the
I'd
other
love
side
to
if you want to zoom.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on over here. I'll show you some strange stuff. I don't know if I'm going to be able to.
Oh, you want to get up here?
Maybe both of it. Can both of us get up there?
Maybe.
I think we can.
Yeah.
Will you get it on camera when I crash? Okay, let's see. I'll show you some really strange stuff. Well, these aren't that strange. These are for turning cranks when they don't have their balancer or bolt on. But see this row right here? Those are all very ancient, and those are different screwdrivers and things for working on carburetors.
Oh, okay.
For taking jets out. Like look, see the end of that is for fitting down in a jet, taking up.
Wow.
These came from all kinds of sets that I've bought over the years at swap meets. This is a funny little tool. Like say choke rods. This is how you bend a choke rod to move the choke if you want the choke to close more on more. These are all, in fact, just yesterday I used, let me find it, it's this one. Used this one on a carburetor. I think I used that one yesterday. It was a Rochester. I could have swore I used a different one. It might be one that's down. Oh, I'll pull it. I hope, good thing you can edit this. This was, I'm mistaken. This is the one I used to pull the seat for the needle and seat out of a Rochester carburetor. I used that just yesterday. This is a socket to put a die in for a tap and die.
What?
Yeah.
Like it's dedicated for taps?
Taps and dies.
Dies?
Yeah.
That's cool. I've never seen
You like that?
before. Yeah.
That's cool. How about this? These are Chrysler. When I worked in the Chrysler dealership in the 80s, these were to take Chrysler radios out with.
What?
Yeah, because back in the 80s, stereos were getting stolen left, right, and center, and I worked in the dealership, and that was how you take the stereo out. These are older. These are for, like, say, the headlight switch, bezels and stuff. I'll show you. I have another drawer, but these are all different. Like, this might be a Volkswagen one. This might be a Chrysler one. You have to see which ones fit. They're for taking the little bezels around switches in the dash off. I hope that was exciting.
No, this is fantastic. What is this thing?
This is like sort of it's instead of using a spanner wrench, it's for something that has 2 holes in it to take off.
Oh, okay.
It's a specific one, and I don't remember exactly what it is. Oh, here's another one this is for like antenna nuts. It goes,
Oh, okay.
that sort of thing. It could be for something on a dash too, because they're all different ones. I have a lot of different spark plug sockets.
You do.
I have a thing about spark plug sockets.
And these little carry things. These are
Yeah,
awesome.
you must be a lot younger than me. The tool trucks, that's how the sets used to come on tool trucks. Yeah, I mean, I bought this set brand new.
You bought that one brand new?
Yeah, off the Matco guy.
Look at that.
I bought that in the 80s. These are for Chrysler ball joints. There's a couple different sizes. I have a bunch of those. This is a bigger Chrysler ball joint.
Oh, yeah.
I have a socket over here that when I first went to work on a fuel car, where is that damn socket? There it is. This is a specific, here, I'll give you a little. Race car mechanics usually put a piece of tape to designate their tools. Like say on one team I worked on the clutch. I was a clutch guy and all my tools had red tape. Oh. And I also at one time worked on a second team and it was purple tape, so it has both on there. This socket, while I was still working at the dealership and had just gotten my job on the top fuel team, this was to take the bell housing nuts off with because it was 12 point.
Oh, okay.
So I bought this specifically to do it. And this took every bell housing I ever took off of a top fuel car off. Here's a socket that's specifically made by Snap-on to open fuel drums with.
So do you still buy tools whenever you find them?
All the time.
Yeah.
More than I need to, that's for sure. My scissors.
You have like a whole scissor drawer?
Yeah, I do. Here you go. You can step up
Okay,
there.
thank you.
Like I said, I do some upholstery, but I only like American-made scissors.
Okay.
Nobody's allowed to open this drawer. If I see somebody open this drawer, I'll lose my mind because these companies quit making scissors in America. I think Klein might still, but these ones that I do upholstery with, and I bought every one I could find at this one place that had a few.
That's Wiss, huh?
Yeah, now they're made in like, I don't know, somewhere else. Oh, this is my nut driver drawer.
Man, everything's so organized.
Well, I have to admit that sometimes it's messy, but I knew you're coming, so I put it how it should be. I'm going to admit that. We'll find a drawer or two that's not too. These are punches, number punches, and then I love these. Have you ever seen these before for taking studs out, stud removers?
Oh, well, I haven't seen one that like robust.
Yeah, that's something I learned when I first went to work on a fuel car. I was like, oh my God, you gotta have those. We have number sets. Want to make numbers. Oh I have a few helical drawers. We do a lot of fixing things for other shops around that are close. Like there's big truck shops close and a bunch of shops are all fixing. This drawer is not going to be that. This is a lot of helicoil stuff.
Oh my goodness.
This is one of those drawers that I did clean out knowing you were coming.
Okay.
That drawer didn't look that good a couple days ago. This drawer always looks like this. This is my scrapers. I like these American-made scrapers.
Okay.
I really don't have a tool. My file drawer, I purged this drawer the other day.
You purged this drawer?
Yeah, it was messy. And I have a lot of, anytime I see an American-made file, I buy it because files do wear out. And one of the guys that works with me, I sold him a bunch of files.
Nice.
These are I have a lot of wrench drawers. You're going to lose it. But yeah, this one isn't that straight. I got my tappet wrenches in there. A lot of angled wrenches.
What are those?
These are called pump wrenches, I think is what they're. I have a bunch of different sets of these, but these are some military issue ones.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. It's a set of them, but they're pump wrenches for doing pump fittings.
Huh. Is that something that you got while you were in the service?
I didn't get these while I was in the service,
I
but these are what you would use when I bought these at a place in Lubbock that was selling off some old stuff.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I like these little sets.
That's cool.
Yeah, I do a lot of things with points and condensers because other shops don't know or want to mess with it. It's funny, when I worked in the dealership, even in the 80s, they always let me do all this stuff with points and condensers. These are some of my old race car gauges.
What are those for?
They're tire gauges, but they're lower ones, race car pressures.
Whoa.
The lower and higher ones. And that's another drawer there. This is a junk drawer, but these are mostly pieces for, you know, pressure washer pieces. Oh, look, try to straighten it up. Extra locks. These are the things that come with the toolbox when you build them. Pieces for my riveters. I like feeler gauges, so I buy a lot of feeler gauges. I have brand new ones. Pieces for my vice grips. You're gonna think I lost my mind when you see the vice grip drawer.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, do you know what these things are?
Yeah, the screw holder.
starter. Yeah. I don't want to assume you do or don't. I'm not trying to say you don't.
Totally fine.
I use the shit out of these things.
That's awesome.
Can't live without those. My reamers. This is some rib nut stuff.
Okay.
Now, since you know that I go to set a lot, right? And when I know I have to go somewhere and I'm, say, going to be driving a big 18-wheeler or something, or if I know I'm going to be riding motocross bikes, you know, or something, I have wrench sets in rolls that I can take with me.
Oh, no way.
Like I have a roll. This roll is all British standard stuff. So if I know we're working on old British bikes or old British cars, I'll take that whole roll with me.
So maybe educate me on that. So British standard is different than
Yeah,
what we
British
have?
standard is different than metric and different than standard.
Really?
It's
Okay.
it's a precursor to it, and I don't know what the years were, but say an old Triumph from the 70s back, or a Triumph car, or anything that was made in England, a Jaguar, it'll have British standard size nuts and bolts on it, and it's different than metric and different than.
Really?
I'll pull one out when I have because I have some sockets over there, like a half-inch British standard or a half-inch Whitworth, and it's so weird because it's like almost the same thing, but a weird is like that big.
What?
Yeah, well, to say one half British standard BS or one half W, and it's like they're really weird when you look at me like that. Right? And so like I have, like this is probably I just have sets of things.
Yeah.
These are all different sets of wrenches that I might want to take with me. Here, you can jump up there.
Okay.
This is some of my electrical stuff, like, you know, things to do electrical connectors with.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this is another one of those drawers I have to admit that I kind of purged before you showed. Torque wrenches.
Whoa, we got a bunch of torque wrenches.
Yeah, this one, this is a military issue one. And then a lot of different ones for turning torque, doing rear ends when we have to do turning torque and stuff. A lot of different sized ones. This is the original torque wrench I got when I was about 15 years old.
Look at that.
Came from Sears.
That's
I rode my motorcycle up to Sears and bought that torque wrench. Put that back in there. They're different inch-pound torque wrenches and stuff. And, this is some of my picks and stuff.
I like these old.
Oh yeah, these older ones are cool.
Yeah.
And then these are for like putting window rubbers in and stuff.
Oh, it's
They
like
don't have
blunt and a-
yeah. So when you're putting a window, like a rear window in or a windshield in, and then of course these are for radiator hoses and radiator hose things.
Nice.
And these little things, you can't live without those. And springs on motorcycle, spring pullers. I used to have, I had to move stuff around when this is I tried to give myself some room. When I knew you were coming, I kind of changed up a little bit. I like these old Matco.
I was gonna say
Those cool old, I bought those when I was in the dealership.
I haven't seen those in a long.
Those
Are
are
those
cool.
made in USA?
Yeah, these are old made in
Really?
USA ones. Yeah, I don't like the more modern handles that much. Here's my regular screwdriver drawer.
My goodness,
Yeah, I did straighten this up, but
this looks amazing.
thanks. There's the one that I open paint cans with.
I guess.
This is my standard tap and die drawer.
Man.
This is kind of hard to mess with, these longer ones and all. And you know, you break them and stuff. So
So like if they get broken, is that why you have
you
duplicates?
multiple, and also, you know how there's a bottoming tap. You know, they have different ways that the threads are on, and then the ones you start a tap with, you know, you start a hole with. So there's different ones.
I see.
And then these are called pulley taps that are longer, you know, to go through pulleys.
That's so nice. You can dedicate an entire drawer.
Yeah, and
For
I
that.
have one for you want to go over here?
yeah.
I don't even know what the. Oh, this is when it's going to start getting messy. This is just junk. This is these are tool rolls that I haven't used, and I bet there's a bunch of like socket rails that I've dug up. I better shut this before somebody thinks I'm else. Yeah, here's some that aren't that great.
Oh yeah.
Knockout punches. You know what those are for, like making holes?
I just found out about that,
Yeah.
so that's cool.
And then my punches for and then dimplers. Once you make the hole, then this can dimple the hole to make it stronger.
Okay, yeah. What are these for?
These are for, like, if you're making a gasket or something out of rubber and you want that big a hole. I have all different small sizes. You know, they're hole punches.
I see.
And then these are dimplers. And then these are some more of my sheet metal tools. Man, I should be embarrassed by this drawer.
No,
but
this means you use your box.
yeah, I know. It's a here's a messy drawer too. These are my tap handles. And I don't know why that set didn't fit somewhere else is what it is. Those are my pipe taps. I like different tap handles. You know, you can have a long one.
Okay.
And you have short ones. There's another long one. Look, I haven't even taken the tag off. I bought that for $16 at some swap meet.
I can't beat it.
No, I'm made in America. Man, I'm kind of getting embarrassed here. This is some of my 1/4-inch stuff. The stuff I use a lot is in the other box.
Okay.
These are the kind of drawers you're gonna start thinking I've lost my mind, because these are some of my 3/8 drive things.
This is some of it.
This was my buddy BJ's. He's gone, but I have his old tools. I have this ratchet I bought when I was probably about 19, the dealership.
Damn.
I love that I still have that.
Yeah.
I used to have one that was a champion sparkling one. I don't know whatever happened to it. Oh, there it is. This was, man, I remember this was coveted for me. It was, it's sold by Champion Spark Plugs.
Uh-huh.
And it was a spark plug ratchet for getting in tight spots. I love this thing. I used the hell out of it, but I broke it and I don't know how to get it fixed.
Oh, no.
That's one of my favorite things I actually own.
It looks like a lot of them are snap-on.
Yeah, I love these newer snap-on ones.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are snap-on. But then again, like when I broke that, I bought the Mac version of that. And this I bought back in the 80s. And let's see, this was a Mac, so I bought that in the 80s. I love long extensions. I have even longer ones over there. And I like speed handles.
You use speed handles here a lot?
Yeah, I do. When I was doing transmissions, I always used them to put things together. And then when I met the older race car mechanics that I started working around, they all like speed handles and key handles and stuff.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad that this is my 1/2-inch drive stuff. I like Proto tools a lot.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say the brands and everything like that?
Absolutely,
Oh, yeah. I like old Proto tools because that reminds me of, I grew up in Odessa, Texas, where the oil field is. I might have already said that, but I'll say it again. And all those oil field workers use Proto tools.
Huh.
I have really long.
I guess, do you have a ratchet that is like your go-to?
Yeah, they're over there in my.
Okay, all right.
You want to? I'll show them when we get over there.
Yeah, okay.
I'll show you. This is. Oh my God. So like I said, I took care of our own 18-wheeler stuff, and we do stuff on big trucks. So this is some of my big truck stuff.
Man,
my
heavy drawer, huh?
Yeah, my 3/4 set.
Who makes that?
This was a Craftsman.
Really?
Yeah, this is all Craftsman.
Huh.
Made in America Craftsman before that Chinese stuff. I don't use adjustable wrenches almost ever.
Okay.
The only reason I have these 2 adjustable wrenches is to bend things.
Oh, okay.
Like if I'm making something.
Yeah.
These are things for setting up rear ends. This is for setting up a Chrysler rear end. I used to work in a Chrysler dealer.
Wait, what do you do with that tool?
On Chrysler rear ends, some of them, the carrier bearing adjusters are inside the rear end, so you have to stick this through where the axle would go and adjust the carrier bearing. There's some other rear end tools in there. This is stuff for making cables. These are for making battery cables. This would be for making like aircraft cable swedges. That's a big one. That's for cutting aircraft cable, cutting steel braided hose. And I have all these big wrenches.
Wait, what is this thing?
If you have a big steel braided hose or something like that, tell you what I use that for a lot is on drift cars. If you want to extend the power steering filler so you'll have more power steering fluid, I can cut the plastic power steering neck with that and extend it. But this tool and this you can cut steel braided hose with and stuff like that if you're gonna make hoses.
And those wrenches, what brand are those?
These are all Proto.
Really?
Yeah, big
Okay.
oil field stuff. I love it. I go up to 2.5, I think. I don't know what's, I think they're pretty big. I have a big 3/4 snap-on.
Jeez, a massive torque wrench
Yeah,
too.
my 3. That's for doing rear ends.
Okay.
Okay. This. Remember how I said I like Proto wrenches?
Yeah.
When I see them at swap meets and they're $1, I buy them.
You can't not buy it. Holy crap.
So,
Oh
and
my
this drawer was worse than this a couple days ago. And I knew you were gonna film it. I like these double-ended wrenches, but those are all Proto. Most of
You
those.
had more than this in here before? Like there's not even space.
Yes,
Like
yes, I did. They were just all thrown in there. And what I did was I got a bunch out, and Grant that works with me, he wanted some of them, and I sold him some of them because there was so many extra ones.
so these are all Proto.
Everything from here over is Proto, and
Okay.
some of that is. These are like, because sometimes when you're working on a front end, you need different weirdnesses to them, you know?
Uh-huh.
Like you might want it a little less. So I when I see these and they're reasonably priced at a swap meet or something, I buy different ones of these just because I'm crazy
No,
or something.
This is amazing. I love
And
it.
this is just the Proto ones I have. The Snap-on ones are over there. But this,
Like you don't even need an organizer. They stand
Well-
up by themselves.
here, this is more sanity going on here. My plier drawers, you know, I don't even think that these are ones for a specific brand of electrical connector. This is-
Deutsch?
yeah. I'm glad you said it. I was afraid I'd say it wrong. Back when I used to do CV boots at the dealership, a Miller Special tool from Chrysler
What is that?
to pull the band around a CV joint
Oh, okay.
when they used to do things like that.
Huh.
Oh, here's some of those really special. These are all the Mac brand ones. Very special for doing bezels on dashboards and things. Taking them off. I'm saving those. I bought those at a swap meet. One of these days I'll need those. Let's see. My punch drawer. I did clean this out recently, kind of. A lot of different punches. You know, like the bearing race punches,
Oh yeah.
pin punches, and
So do you ever go on like tool trucks still, or is it
yeah, oh
mostly-
yeah.
Oh, you do.
We have
Okay.
3 tool trucks come around here. I try. I don't really. There's nothing that I'm dying for.
Okay.
Sometimes I might have a set that I'd piece together, and I might, I want to make this all right, and I might take the ones that don't match and maybe put them in a box and sell them to some young kid that's, you know, because I meet these kids from these schools and they come on field trips here and stuff, and I might do something like that, or, and if something special comes out, this is a special. These are mostly front end
Whoa.
wrenches for when you do front end alignments on older cars and stuff.
Okay.
So
Wait, so do you have a rack here?
what we do is we do them on the surface plate.
Oh.
I like you do a race car, you just set it up. I mean, if it's square and you can measure it, then you can
I've never even heard of a surface
a
plate.
surface plate. Yeah. What you do is, if you build a chassis, you set the chassis on the surface plate, and you square it up, and set it at its ride heights. Like take the springs out and set it on ride height so it's where it should be. And then when you're building your body, you can measure everything down to the surface plate. And back in our days of racing in NASCAR, you had template. Well, you still have templates, but they were different. You had this one main template, and we had poles on either end. You'd set the template on there and build the body to the templates. But we can also pull a car on there, and that's where we do front end alignments.
Oh, okay.
It's-
Because you know it's.
Yeah, it's flat, and then
Okay.
I put this.
Oh, these look wild.
Yeah, these are for getting inside on like A-arms and stuff on older cars. There's all different brands of these, and when I see them at swap meets, I buy them. That's why I have a few extras. I just purged that drawer too.
Did you?
I had, this is a drawer that I figured out how to find a place to put my really strange sized taps and dies and left-handed stuff, and some Torx stuff. I don't use them very much. And clutch head stuff for older Chevy cars and stuff had these kind of things, and some Holley carburetors.
Oh, okay.
And here's some really strange stuff. See that? It's a little
I've
bit
never
older.
seen anything like
Yeah.
that before. What is that for?
I think some of the manufacturers, what I've found, things like those clutch head and this on are like fuel sending units on older cars from the 60s myself. They tried to use different things for them. We don't run into that often. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe we should stop talking because you're not going to want to see this. I have 3 drawers of vice grips. Because when you're building a body, you have to clamp a lot of things.
Okay.
And vice grip aren't made in America anymore. And it's funny because they shot a commercial in this building, in my
Really?
shop, after they weren't made in America. And they came here and they saw my vice grip. They're like, you love us. I'm like, I do love your old product, but I don't. It was kind of, they understood though. Because so when I find them at swap meets, I buy them because if you break them, you're not getting a new one that's made in America. And I only like things made in America. So I have three full drawers of vice grips.
Holy cow.
These are the regular ones.
Like this isn't just full. This is like wedged. in
Yeah,
there.
I mean, it was wedged. These would have been in a different drawer, but there's no room for those longer ones.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I even have, look, when I worked for that fuel team, during the winter, the people that owned one of the top fuel teams I worked on owned a place called Vehicle Testing Service, and they tested vehicles for all the brands, and they had facilities all over the country. And I used to, during the winter, I'd go up and be sort of a lead mechanic at one of their places in Denver for high altitude testing.
Oh.
And we were doing these minivans, and this was after I worked at the dealership, and I was a race car mechanic, but they would send me up to these things. And it's funny, this set of, I think it was this set, maybe it was this set. I'll pick the one that I think is the right set, this one. This set of, I was up there working, and part of our job was to see what were failing on these cars. And these are, I don't remember exactly what year it was, 94 or something, minivans. And they had a relay that would, after so many miles, the mount would break, the screw would break, and the screw was stuck in a part on the car. And I was like, how in the hell am I going to get this out? And they would send the engineers down to talk to us from Detroit to figure out when they're writing their manuals and everything. And I realized that the only way to get that screw out was with this pair of vice grips that I bought at some tool place in Denver. And they only made these for a little while, these bent things, but that was how I could get that screw out. And these things are great. And there you go.
That's awesome.
I have that pair of, I think that's the pair. We'll put them back in there where they go.
So is there ever a time where like most of these are out of the drawer?
Yes,
like they're being
it's
used?
funny because there is a time, like if I'm doing a body or doing the rocker panel, it'll be just vice grips every space, and I'll be able to weld in between them.
Oh, okay.
And you don't know if you're going to need the, which size or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And here's a stunt guy trick. You ready for a stunt guy
Yeah.
trick? These little ones.
I'm excited.
On an old school car that has a parking brake that you press with your foot, and then a release with a thing, you can pull the release out, put the parking brake on there so it stays released, so you can step on it to get in a drift, and you don't have to release it with your hand. So you just pull the release out, and that's why I have these. These go with me to set.
Huh.
I have some other ones.
That sounds wild. Like,
Are you ready for the clamp, vice grip clamp drawer?
oh my goodness. And these are all vice grip brand?
All vice grip brand. Yeah, I don't buy any other brand, but I only have the ones made in America.
Okay.
So now I have to buy used ones if I want to replace any of them, and they're really hard to find. I wish I could find more of those. If there's anybody out there that has any for sale, I'll give you money for them. Those deep ones like that. Here, I'll show you one more vice grip drawer.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
These are the ones when we're building chassis. You used to use those around the tube to hold tubes in places.
Okay.
And then the sheet metal ones, of course. Oh, here's one of these messy drawers. This is stuff for doing interiors and antenna socket. This is a lot of interior stuff, and this drawer barely closes.
What is the orange things?
Oh, these are just little pry tools.
Oh.
You can like pry rubber into places.
Oh, okay.
I don't really use. I have another set of these that. Who knows where those ones came from? These are some of those old handles. I mean, I've had that since the 80s.
Man.
It's funny, I broke one of these and they replaced it with a new handle and I couldn't stand it. So I found one at a swap meet and bought a new one.
So how many boxes did you have before you... Oh, sorry. Sorry, Boom. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
I'm
it should be
sorry.
fine.
Goodness. How many boxes did you have before you came to this box?
I had the Snap-on one that was their biggest before this. That's one. Then I had a Mac, kind of a bigger Mac toolbox.
Okay.
And I at the same time I had that, I had a Kennedy machinist toolbox. So I had two for
okay.
my machine. So that's two before this one. And then before that Mac one, I had what used to be called a 900 series Mac, which was about this wide. That'd be three. And then before that, I had a Montgomery Ward's toolbox that was the size of a Craftsman. And before that, I had a Craftsman, but when I moved around, I just took all my tools out of the Craftsman. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before this one.
Wow.
That's since
amazing.
1970. I think my first mechanic's toolbox was 1977.
Man.
That was a small Craftsman, one of those red ones with the black drawers.
Oh, okay.
It was
yeah.
about that big. And that's what I took to the first body shop I worked at.
That's awesome.
And that was in Odessa, Texas. And then when I moved from Texas to DC and I worked at that body shop up there, I took a handheld box and I sold that box. And then I ended up getting that Montgomery Ward's one.
Okay.
And
I've
then
never
I went
even heard of
Montgomery Ward's.
Yeah.
That's this place. That used to be like a Sears. But they had tire centers too, by the way. But Montgomery Ward's was a store just like Sears and Roebuck's, and they had their own tools, and they were called Powercraft. I'm assuming the reason I ended up with a Powercraft toolbox is because when I went to work at the dealership, there was a Montgomery Ward's across the street.
Oh, okay.
I think that's, instead of going and getting a Craftsman toolbox, I got a Montgomery Ward's one. Okay, this is brake tools.
Oh my goodness.
Different brake tools. This is one that I've never used, evidently. Different brake bleeders, because you know sometimes when you're doing brakes, you can't ever get the bleeder wrench to fit in there. Some of these I've had forever. This was my first brake tool I bought like that. I bought that at the dealership. The first one I bought, I think I had another one. I had this one before that. But now that I think about it.
Yeah, what are those?
I had a friend make these for me. He's a machinist. These are to put dust caps on. These fit some of my specific cars.
Oh, wow.
These are for Chrysler. I don't know what this one's for, but they're for different dust caps. So you don't beat up the dust caps because you can't buy a new dust cap anymore. A lot of brake bleeding wrenches and some stuff for doing, I got hog ring pliers too.
Okay.
You know. These drawers might get terrible. Oh shit. These are Clicos, you know, when you're making stuff. This is something I looked for forever.
What is that?
An old-timer mechanic that worked next to me in the dealership. The old cables that used to work, say like your heater or your defroster. This was a tool that KD made so that you could put the end back on it, the curved end. Put the wire in there and then curve the end, because it had especially the Chrysler ones went and made this curly Q and went down on there. And somebody I knew had this. I think it was the mechanic it might have been the guy I was a helper to, and they had quit making this tool by the 90s or so. And now I have 3 of them because I found them at swap meets and I buy every one I see. This tool is gonna be in the way. This is a race car tool. This is for Zeus fasteners to adjust the spring.
Oh, okay.
And then these are fun. I wish I could buy these. I bought these somewhere and then the company went out of business for putting pieces of panel together. If you're gonna butt weld 2 panels, you stick it in there and then stick this underneath and then pull them together.
Oh, wow, okay.
I use the shit out of these things when I'm doing sheet metal stuff.
That's genius.
Yeah, this thing is genius. There's more of those. These are my transfer screws. Do you know what those are?
I don't.
Like, well, here's one that's out. If you have a threaded something and you want something to fit to it, you can put that in the threaded hole and it transfers the hole so you know where to drill the hole.
Oh, okay, I see.
And then these are transfer punches for Zeus fasteners for race cars. These were some things for my race car. I know this thing just barely fits in there, so let's shut that.
I love it.
Oh, we've already seen that. This drawer is this is all sorts of just drivers and things that over the years I've bought to fit specific cars, and a buddy of mine that was a manager at this one dealership that went out of business, he let me go get all their drivers.
Oh, man.
All sorts of specific race drivers and all kinds of shit that's in there. And you know, you have all that and it never fails. You don't have something that fits something perfect, you know?
Yeah.
You're gonna like this. It's messy, but it's cool. These are all distributor wrenches. I think
Holy cow.
I'll take this out.
Holy cow.
Every configuration of distributor wrench you can think of.
Oh my goodness. How do you know which one to grab?
Oh my God, you have to, that's one of those things. The metric ones are on this side, the standards are on that side, and you grab them and you see what fits the car, and it takes a while. There should be a couple with tape on them. They're the ones that fit specific cars of mine.
Okay.
Yeah, and these are different. For adjusting point, I have a bunch of these for adjusting points on old GM cars because you can adjust the points while it's running. This one's a great one. That's a heavy duty one.
Wow.
I bought that at some store.
Is that like a timing light under there? Is that what that was?
Oh yeah, my timing light right there.
It's like an old school.
Made in America.
That's awesome.
I have a new old stock one up there.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, because you can't buy those anymore. They only make those digital kind. You want to look in here while you're up there? What's in here? Oh, this isn't that exciting. Damn it, I should have cleaned this up. This is some calipers and things for drawing circles.
Yeah.
I bought those for like $1 a piece when I was a kid. I thought those are cool. This is my metric Allens and whatnot. Oh my God, this is a lot of digital stuff for setting up rear ends and shit. All kinds of craziness. What's in here? Oh yeah, hole saws, hole cutting stuff.
Like a whole drawer just for cutting holes.
Yeah, there's a flare. These are, when you need a hole a certain size. What's in?
Yeah.
Oh, this is the metric helicoils.
Holy cow.
Like I said, a lot of shops around. I mean, a lot. Will bring stuff to here for me to weld up or fix threads or get broken things out. So we do a lot of that.
So you're like the go-to.
We do the stuff nobody else wants to do.
Yeah.
We never get to do anything that's easy and fun. Never. Here's my air drill drawer. There's a lot of drills. I have a lot of other drill stuff, but this is a messy mess.
Do you have like drill bits that you like the most? The bits?
Yeah, probably. I like using long drill bits a lot, but if you're talking brand or
Yeah.
just style, brand,
brand.
oh, probably anything made in America.
Yeah.
Really, I'll show you my other stuff, but yeah, anything made in America, drill bit wise. I think Milwaukee still makes these step drills in America.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know if these are Milwaukee or not. Yeah, because this is probably made in America. That's why I have it. Yeah, made in USA. I love those step drills, and they wear out. You know,
Yeah.
they don't last forever. But let's see, what else do we got? Oh, this is my Silver and Deming drill bits and the kind of bigger drill bits.
Jeez.
And I still have the little drill bits over there.
Man.
I get them resharpened because these are all made in America.
Is this
Like a-
coating just to keep it from...
Oh, when you get them resharpened, they put that coating on them.
Oh, okay.
See this bright tag?
Mm-hmm.
I know the guy there's a guy, his name's Russ. He's the nicest guy in the world. There's all these guys all around the country that sell stuff at swap meets. Russ is a tool guy, and he's from Southern California. Sorry, my dog barked.
Oh, he's okay.
But Russ is from Southern California, and he puts those bright colored things on there. And since I haven't used that, I just like seeing that, and I know I bought that from Russ. Russ is a great guy. These are some more drill bit sets. I bought that from Russ because it has I have some really small drill bits over here.
Man, this is just...
All different sets of stuff.
That's awesome.
That came from Russ. Those are blanks, for lining things up. They're drill blanks.
Sorry, what?
Drill blanks.
What's a drill blank?
I'll show you. Instead of, they're mostly when you're doing machine stuff, but instead of having a drill, it's a blank. So if you have a hole that's that exact size and you need to line something up on your milling machine or something, you can put that in there and you can line it up.
Oh, huh.
They're blanks. It's really a machine only thing, and you don't use them that often. And I didn't pay but $22 for that. I have other blanks in here somewhere. I don't know where they are. I'd have to look, but they're like my little ways of measuring things. Put that there. Oh, this one's not as good as the other one. I didn't get to organize this one before you got here, but this is my metric taps and dies and messiness.
Oh, I love it.
It should be a little more organized. I'm sorry.
No, this is amazing.
I'm going to get to it. Okay, this won't be that bad. This is just big stuff. Big clamps, cam installation tools. This is a way to measure things on cars. A lot of big things.
What's that thing?
This thing?
Yeah.
It's called a monkey on a stick. This is a body man's favorite tool. Like if something's bent on the car, like a door jamb or something, you can jack it and straighten things out.
Oh, okay.
It's great for straightening bent up shit on cars.
Huh.
Can I say shit on your thing?
Oh, sure.
Bent up stuff on cars. Here's a special tool for the surface plate. I'll show you this. So if you're on a surface plate, I mean, it's kind of hard to describe on that. But so if you're on a surface plate and you're making a body or setting up a chassis or something, this is the way to measure how it is from the floor to there.
Whoa.
So you measure from the surface. Like say if I wanted to make sure this car had the right ride height, I could set this up to there and bring it up to there under that measurement and go set it on the other side.
That's cool. Huh.
This is a race car mechanic for sure situation. There used to be this place in Concord, North Carolina, that specifically sold tools to race car mechanics and fabricators. Mm-hmm. They've retired and gone out of business. It was the greatest place in the world. It was called Urban Smith, and that's where I bought this.
So that's Irvin Smith brand?
I don't think they had their own brand of stuff, but this wasn't a brand of theirs. This is some other brand, but they sold all sorts of things like Cleco pliers, and they sold a lot of cutting tools. They sold all sorts of fabricating tools for race car stuff or anybody, and they made pit carts too. This should be my metric wrenches. This isn't as bad. My snap-on ones, and these are my mix-matched ones. And a lot of these, for some reason I keep buying these. I keep thinking I don't have one, but I have a few extra ones of those.
What would you use that for? Do you have like a situation with that?
What, this?
Yeah.
I bought this used, so somebody had ground that in there.
Oh, I mean like the
Oh,
style,
this?
right?
Oh, yeah. Some of these I think are for, if you have to get in a tight spot somewhere, and these are 10 millimeter ones.
Oh.
But like this one is for a Volkswagen starter, if I remember right. You get up behind the starter.
Oh, wow.
But different things if you have to just get in. This is a Volkswagen specific tool for the drain plug and 70 millimeter. I own one non-American car, and it's a Volkswagen Carmagia. So.
Oh, okay.
But my race car was a Volkswagen motored, so I have a lot of Volkswagen specific tools. This is a specific Volkswagen carburetor tool for taking the carburetor off. It gets around the back of the carburetor. I don't know if there's anything that exciting in there, but metric wrenches. And then this is this is one of my more favorite drawers.
Okay.
This is my body hammer drawer.
Crap.
All different just styles of body. These are my original Craftsman ones that came from Sears back when I was young. And then over the years, I bought these either off tool trucks or at swap meets. Like this is I think I bought this from Russ, because Russ, that guy I was talking about, I'm plugging Russ. I don't know why. If somebody's it goes to the Long Beach swap meet, go buy tools from Russ. There's some other guys there that are cool too. But Russ refurbishes hammers. And what I'll do is sometimes I'll take him a hammer I have and he'll refurbish it for me.
No way.
But this is a Proto hammer, and it's got a great end. I have a hammer that I had a friend track down the guy who was selling it and got it for me, and I don't know, it's in there, it's deep in there, but I have all different kinds of hammers. These are my snap-on ones. I keep them away back there. And then different dollies that I've had over the years.
Is this just a big dolly here?
Yeah, that's a big giant dolly. Hold it on the back. I didn't buy that from Russ because it would be perfectly smooth if I did. When Russ sells things, they look so good.
Really?
This probably came from Russ.
Oh, wow.
These are actually for rivets, like aircraft rivets, but I use them for dollies for things. So we'll go to this drawer. This is a lot of measuring, machine shop measuring stuff, tools, oil field stuff for marking the center of a tube. A lot of different, like when you're setting up a race car, you can drop that down to the surface plate and measure over kind of thing. And you get the gist of all this business, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I did straighten this drawer out.
Okay.
For you. These are my grinders.
Man.
All different, keep different bits and stuff in them.
And you say you don't have very many like cordless electric tools?
I don't. I have a drill, a cordless drill, and a cordless impact driver, and I have a cordless tool to take windshields out with.
Okay.
And I keep those go with me to set usually. I guess I'm older and I just use air.
Oh yeah.
You know.
It's amazing because I don't hear any air.
Well, I turned it off so.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it would be really loud.
Okay.
But yeah, I use air tools. But I did turn it off because I didn't want to come on. This is my engine building stuff, and it's a mess in there. When I need something in there, it all comes out on the floor, and then it goes back in. You know, cam timing stuff. Some of these are things that I haven't used, of course. And, you know, there's all sorts of shit in there.
What is that?
These?
Yeah.
These are, if you want to lap valves, and you can put them in your cordless and lap valves.
Huh.
The old school way is I wear those out.
Like the wooden. Oh,
There,
okay,
there
yeah.
you go. That's the old school way. But that is cool. Wait. My valve spring compressor, which you can see it right there.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's an old school one. You want me to tell you a little story?
Yeah.
When I worked at the dealership, I started doing some stuff like that, and there was a guy. His nickname was Foghorn Leghorn. I don't remember his real name. He was a gruff mechanic. He wasn't a real old one. You know, to me, he seemed old. I was 19, but and he probably had the nicest toolbox in the shop at the Dodge dealership I worked at that time, and he always had the nice tools, and he was friends with the Snap-on guy, and I was doing I needed to do some cylinder heads, and the guy that I had been a helper to, he was close to me. I wasn't his helper anymore. He was using his valve spring tool as an air one like that. And so I went over and asked Foghorn Leghorn because he is always willing to help the younger guys. So I went over to ask him if I could borrow his, and he pulled that exact tool out. Not that one, but one like it. And he pulled it out. He said, "Listen, this is how this is going to work." And he said, "I'm being serious. This is how this works. I'm going to lend this to you right now. This is the first time. The second time you come to ask me for this, you better have already ordered yours, and it just isn't here yet. Because if you haven't, you're not getting it." And he handed me and I was like, "Oh, I see how this works."
Yeah.
And when the Snap-on guy came, I think that's where that came from. He came over and got me and said, "Hey, Snap-on man's here. You need to order your valve spring compressor because I'm not lending you mine again." And so that was a lesson I learned from him. This drawer is going to be a mess. This is pullers, lots of pullers, big pullers. There's a whole set of pullers in there. This is just stuff that I've acquired. I've had this puller since I was in high school. I lost the end of it somewhere. Different adapters and oh my God. Let's shut that before somebody judges me. What's over here? Every time I shut this drawer, this all goes back. All my measuring and squares and stuff. I got great little. This is a NASCAR tool. You want me to tell you what this is?
Yeah.
Remember I was telling you about templates? When you put your long template on your chassis before you start building it, the templates would have marks on them that would have colors. It'd be green, blue, or red. And anywhere where it was green, you were okay to have that much space between the template and your body. Any place that it was blue, it was that much. Any place red, it was that much. So if that would go through it, this was the way you'd check your templates to make sure they'd fit, how tight it was to the template. So yeah, I have a bunch of little things like this. This is shit. I bought at swap meets over the years. I would have never known where to buy that other than a swap meet. Use a lot of that. These are my impacts and stuff. Most of these I haven't had very long because they wear these things out. I wear the shit out of these things. But I don't use electric tools much. Damn it! I wish it would have been more straight.
Kind of nice.
Yeah, these are driveline sockets.
Oh. Okay.
Well, actually, these ones aren't. Where are my driveline sockets? Oh, I don't know where the hell my driveline sockets are. These are just metric sockets that are getting up there.
So as far as pneumatic tools, do you have a brand? Look like Snap-on?
Probably Snap-on because they're the only ones left that are made in America.
Okay.
It's got to be made in America.
Yeah.
This is a lot of I skipped the drawer, didn't I? I skipped my motorcycle drawer. This is motorcycle special tools. That's a cool set of blind bearing pullers. That's made in Japan. That was when like I said, I originally raced when I was racing motorcycles, Kawasaki's, and I went to Honda's, but I had to buy that from Japan to pull blind bearing pullers out.
Oh, okay.
And these are fork tools and all different things. There's all kinds of. This is a messy drawer.
Like every drawer is just like.
I know
packed.
that's my problem.
No, I
There's
love
too
it.
much
It's amazing.
shit. And then this is there's a lot of special tools in here for transmissions and stuff. It's such messy that I don't want to pull that out. For doing transmission clutch.
What is that
hub.
for?
Those are clutch hubs. When the clutches are in the drums in an automatic transmission, you got to release the spring. That's the one I bought that. I bought that off the tool truck in the 80s, and then I have these ones. Those are some Snap-on ones that are a little different for releasing them. I think this was my buddy BJ's, and I just threw it in there when I took his tools when he passed away. I got all this. I remember buying this. This is for taking a seal out of a selector seal on an automatic transmission. You can go over the selector and pull the seal out with this.
Oh. Huh.
There's different ones. That's for installing that seal. I remember buying this. It was at an auto parts store in DC, like one of those old school auto parts stores, District Auto Parts or something.
Okay.
And they had their special tools on the wall, and it was in a packet like that. I'm like, I need that. And I still have it. I bought that thing in 1985, and I still have it.
That's amazing that you remember buying it. That's
You know something? All this stuff, I remember the job I did to pay for it.
really.
Like every piece of equipment, I was working at the dealership, but I usually remember what job I did that I made enough money to pay for it. I don't know if that matters. This is a shock tool, to hold the top of a shock.
Yeah.
These are shock tools. I have some sockets for those too. This up here is definitely just extra shit. There's a few things that aren't, but it's mostly extras of things that I bought, and my sockets that don't have sets that I have spares of are up there. Okay. That's kind of boring. I don't want to. I moved some shit from over here or there, so I have a little bit of a space in here. This is a set of these for when you're making a chassis, a race car chassis. You fit this over the tube, and we want it to fit into another tube. You do it like that, and then you can mark it on this side.
Oh yeah.
Fit
Like
one way or the
transfer
other. Yeah,
kinda?
it's a transfer thing. That's a whole set of those, and these are my burrs and stuff, and parts for my paint guns. Pull one of these out. I think this is that's for forks, motorcycle forks. These will be pretty cool. I'll show you these because these are kind of cool.
Yeah.
When I worked, one of the guys that built the Top Fuel chassis, when we have to put a bead roll in the big aluminum, the fuel lines that were aluminum, and he had these things, and this is how you roll a bead in an aluminum. There's different sizes of these, and you put the aluminum there and tighten it down, then roll a bead, and you have a bead in it.
Whoa.
And I've bought these four I bought over time at swap meets, and I didn't pay much for them. Then I found the company that made the case, so I could put the case. And this one's specifically made to hold the tube. But these things,
hold the tube?
yeah, like if it's a small tube, you can hold the tube with this, and then roll a bead
I
with
see.
that.
Okay.
Like, see, that'll fit down in a tube,
Uh-huh.
and then it's a way to make a bead. These things are cool. If you want to make something, if you want to make something that has a bead bolt in it, so when you slip a hose on it, it doesn't come off.
Like intercooler piping and stuff?
Yeah. Stuff like that, or even small stuff. My air chisels, transfer punches, big ones and little ones. I'd never known what those were until when I went to work on that first race car team, and I saw those. I'm like, oh my God! My whole life I've been just marking things, and I'm really happy that I learned that. I straightened this drawer up for you. This is my stuff. This was a messier drawer.
So organized, yeah.
Yeah, this drawer used to be a mess. And these are the different mandrels to put roll locks on. You do a lot of that,
Nice.
Tubing bender stuff, and then flaring tool.
Oh wow. Those look big tubes, huh?
Yeah. Let like say like a breather or something. You know, up to I think I go up to 1/2 inch, 3/4 maybe. I don't remember how my biggest one is. The small tubing benders. Those are really nice tubing benders. My Roper Whitney punching holes.
Oh wow.
I bought this. There was I guess a man. He had a big kind of a machine shop, welding shop, and diesel repair shop, and he must have made this thing, and he had passed away, and I bought that one. And these are for some of my Roper Whitney punches over there, and then hand ones, you know, for punching the holes. These are some of my older clamps. And these mostly, you use C clamps for, but I use a lot of them when we're doing jigs. And then I have my big C clamps in here.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah, and can't twist clamps. It's hard to get that shit back in there when you. Now I just recently sent a few of my paint guns off to get repaired, or not repaired, but cleaned. This is one of my more favorite ones because I do a lot of metal flake and they get kind of messed up, some of the paint guns too.
Oh, really?
My airbrush is in there, portable bandsaw. This is a big puller set. Lots of these things, you know, for panel bond and shit.
Okay.
Stud puller.
Wait, that big thing is a stud puller?
Yeah, this is, you know what those are, right?
Yeah.
Here, I'll set this down. You know, you weld.
Oh, I was thinking like a wheel stud or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, for the dog is like, man, can you wrap this thing up? We got sticks to throw.
Oh, girl.
My big grinder, porta power, rivet guns, staple guns for doing upholstery.
Okay.
Vacuum. What's in here? Oh, this is just, I try to do the least amount of Bondo as possible,
Okay.
but when I do it, and these are for all my different grinders and stuff. I did clean that drawer up, and here's some more air tools and a smaller grinder. My paintbrushes, when I attempt at, I do a little lettering, and some of my pinstripes don't look that good, so.
That's amazing. This is just.
I hope that was worth the trip.
No, that is incredible. Like that's so crazy. And you have like a whole nother. Is it like
Yeah, I have a whole nother. We'll come back. Oh, we'll go see over here. This is sort of my fabricating machine shop area. That's the chassis jig, but it has a piece of wood sitting on it right now. I have a sewing machine for if I try to do upholstery. I'm not that great at it. Plenishing hammer, making body panels. Tubing bender, which I have different dies for it. This is a bead roller with all the different dies. It's a bigger one. I have a deep throat one that I have. This one's electric powered. I have manual powered ones. This is a tubing notcher, building roll cages and stuff. We all know this is one of the first pieces of equipment I ever bought. I saved my money. People would say, "What do you want for Christmas?" When I was like in high school, I'd say, "I want Sears gift certificates." Until I had about a little over 2/3 of it, and then I put the rest of the money in. That's one of the first things I ever bought.
Look at that.
So my vise, and I have belt sanders.
Sorry.
Yeah,
That's a huge vise.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to get on camera. That is massive.
It's the back. Different belt sanders and grinders and stuff. My milling machine. I remember the job I did to pay for that. This is my milling machine. I just had to get some new DROs because my old ones failed after so many years. These are some punches. These things are sitting on top of my motorcycle jig, which I just can unbolt them and move them if I have to do a motorcycle frame. But I have different sized punches in them.
I see.
That's another one. I'm fixing a swing arm for a guy, so I just started making that jig.
Okay.
This motorcycle jig's sitting this way on my regular chassis jig that's sitting that way. This is cutting tools and stuff. This is the other drill bits.
Gosh.
No, left-handed ones are at top. Nobody's allowed to be around the left-handed drill bits. Those are mine. My quick change holders. That thing that I bought there is cool as hell. A friend of mine told me about that. That thing's great. I used to have those things all laying around over here.
Oh, okay.
My lathe. Some welding machines, and that's my welding table. I guess we'll go this way. Here's a kind of a fun old tool maybe somebody will care about, but these are what used to surface I use them to do cast iron exhaust manifolds. You can do, I think they're made to do old cast iron cylinder heads, but I mostly just use this for exhaust manifolds because you can flatten them.
Oh, wow.
I was working on it was a Ford truck commercial, and the driving was all done, but the guys that worked for me were taking care of the cars. And it was lunchtime. They said, well, we're going to go shoot over by this old machine shop that was like an oil field machine shop. Is out in, somewhere in Texas, I don't remember. And so I decided I'd stay around for lunch. And I got my lunch. And I was walking around the machine shop. It was a cool old machine shop. And I saw this thing covered in dirt. And I was like, wait, I always thought those machines were cool as hell. And I looked at it, and it wasn't red. It was all rust. And I went and got the machine shop manager, the guy, the shop foreman or whatever. And he came and I said, hey, you guys aren't using this thing. Will you sell this? And he's like, man, we haven't used that thing in 10 years, you know, and we didn't use it for 20 years before that. And so I bought that from them. And I in fact, just a couple of days ago, I surfaced some exhaust manifolds. Some of the shops will send exhaust manifolds that are messed up because this is as dangerous as it gets. There's no way. Yeah, that thing starts spinning and you try to run the exhaust manifold across there. You make sure nobody is standing over there because it's going across the room. I put the dog away when I'm doing this thing. So I'm afraid you're going to get hit by something that comes off of that because it's spinning 1,000,000 miles an hour and you just surface it.
Is it hard to find like replacement part? Like
luckily, I've never had to replace that.
Okay.
I'm sure there's some company that you can get that grinder from. I don't know, or get it replaced. Hopefully, I'll never. There's no way I'll wear that grinder out before. that will. I got that much to go. I don't do that many. This is my brake lathe that I bought. I actually bought that while I was still working on race cars because I knew I wanted a brake lathe, and I've had that forever. And I've over the years collected all the different adapters.
What is the thing on the right here?
Oh, this is for arcing brake shoes. Like if you turn a brake drum and you make the brake drum, say it originally was 11 inches, but you turn, 20 thousandths off or 100 thousandths off. So for the brake shoes to fit in there correctly, you set this and you re-arc them so that it cuts them off so they'll fit perfectly into the, because brake shoes, like say, for an 11-inch brake drum, the brake shoes are made to fit an 11-inch brake drum. But if you turn the brake drum and now it's 11 inches and 100 thousandths or whatever, it'll only touch on the ends and not in the middle. So you have to cut the ends down to fit it out in the middle.
Oh, I see.
This is invaluable if you want your drum brakes to work, really. In the old days, people did that sort of thing. Nowadays, people just put brake shoes and things on. They don't care what the hell's going on. But that way you get the brake shoes to touch all the way around the drum.
I've never thought about that. That makes perfect sense, though.
And the belts for this, of course, they quit making made them in the 80s or 90s. But I found a box of like 100 of them, and I had to buy all of them because it's a special drum a special, I don't know what you want to call it, because it's a belt with sanding thing on it. And that thing spins at 1,000,000 miles an hour too. So I've had to rebuild this machine like 3 times since I owned it, because it was used when I got it, and I use the heck out of it because on the older cars, we try to reuse the original factory stuff and not put any Chinese drums or anything like that on it, or Chinese discs. Rotors, I should call them rotors, not discs. And it's a big brake, sheet metal brake. To do the Craftsman truck, the sides of it were that long. Before that, I only had that one. I had to get this to bend the sides of the Craftsman truck. These are all different bead rollers, hand bead rollers. This thing that it's on, you want me to tell you, it's called a tree, I think is what it's called. I'm not really sure. I was at a swap meet with 4 or 5 of my friends, a big swap meet, and I saw that sitting there without the bead rollers on. It was just the green thing. And I said, oh my God, I've never seen one. I didn't even know, I knew they made them, but I didn't know somebody had one. Who the hell would pay for that? And they said, oh, it came from Fort Worth Independent School District. It was over there. And I said, man, I got to have this. And we had to go back and forth, and I made a deal with them. And then my friends that were with me, I think I had 3 friends, and they're like, well, how the hell are we going to carry that to the car? like there's no way. And you couldn't drive the car. Like, you guys will help me. And they're like, we ain't helping you carry that thing. It's cast iron. But I bought that at a swap meet with some of my friends. The sheet metal roller, I bought this. This is what I used to do the wheel tubs for the race cars with. Because you can roll a sheet. That I bought a long time ago, box and pan brake and bandsaw and sheet metal brake. And the small toolboxes are some of the kids that work for the guys that work for me, the younger guys. I should say guys. younger.
So do you hire a lot of young guys to?
I try to. I want to give them a chance, you know, and especially if they show some gumption. They love working here and working on the cool stuff, and they all want to go to set and work on, you know, they want to go see something move. But yeah, and you know, you have to hire a lot to get some that really want to and work. I kind of judge them by what they do with buying their tools and their toolboxes and stuff like that. And did I tell you this already? That I don't remember that the stunt drivers that when I have them come work for me, I have them send me a picture of their toolbox. When they send me their headshot, because we have to have modern, you know, up-to-date headshot and head to toe. I have them send me that and a picture of their toolbox, so I know what they're doing. Because all stunt drivers, the ones that I hire and all the real ones are all raced for a living and, you know, worked in a shop somewhere. So I want to see what their toolbox look like. Now I know what all their toolboxes look like, but I still make them send me an up-to-date picture.
That's awesome. Yeah, you can tell a lot about somebody just by looking at their toolbox.
Yeah, like the kids. That kid, those two boxes are his. I think one had been his dad's and he bought that. I don't really like that brand, but he has really nice tools in there that he had bought used. This kid found that Maximizer cart used, and he waited till it came, then he got it pretty cheap, and then he bought a bunch of Made in America Craftsman tools from an estate sale kind of thing.
Yeah.
So Juan has a really nice box. I think this young man, his name is Clayton. He's I think we have a little toolbox competition going on there between Juan and Clayton. I think Clayton's ready to get himself a bigger, nicer box.
Yeah.
You know? And then they see Grant over there with his big box. You know.
They see yours. It's
Oh,
like...
That's what I hope they're shooting for. You know.
Yeah. So you know, working in the shop, like this is something else. But versus going out and shooting, you know, movies and stuff. Do you prefer being out in the shop, or do you like doing the stunt driving more?
You know, that's probably a hard question in a way because it's complicated to answer. But I think I would much rather be in the shop with the dog and listening to my music that we'd normally be listening to and working on what I think are really cool vehicles in a way, kind of saving them, because we do not do resto mod stuff. We don't put disc brakes on old cars. I like the history of cars, and we try to just keep them running. And I love that. I love the way, whether anybody else sees it or not, I see the car leave, and they might not know that we just redid their transmission or whatever. You know, I don't know. I just like the fact that I know that when it leaves, it just gives me some sort of pleasure. When you're on set and you're, as a stunt driver, when I'm a driver on set, I mean, like I know I worked on a movie, we shot a week worth of a race scene that never made it to the, you know, or on Ford versus Ferrari, I mean, I think it was 3 weeks in Aqua Dulce to do that pit stop, and you see it for a couple seconds, you know, you do so much stuff that doesn't really get, it ends up in the nowhere. When working on older cars or motorcycles, I see it driving down the road, you know. And
that's cool.
when I work on my friends' bikes and we go to lunch and I look over and there's my buddy Oliver or my buddy David or whoever, one of my friends, and they're riding a bike that I might have done something to, or, you know, you're riding a car and you're like, hey, I'm keeping this thing on the road and I'm not molesting it, you know, I'm not putting an LS1 in it, and I'm not doing, I know there's a place and time for everything, but what I like is these cars and these motorcycles have some history, so I like doing that in the shop. And I'm like, you know, you're making things. I think there's something to be said for working with your hands and making things, and you're doing it. I do it to be, you know, how I feel about it.
So do you have vehicles of your own that have been in movies and stuff?
Oh yeah, every single one of my motorcycles
Really?
and all my cars have all been in some sort of a photo shoot, movie, TV show.
No way.
Almost all my motorcycles were in the Bike Riders movie.
Okay. Do you mind if we take a look at
No, let's walk over there because I love my motorcycles.
Come, Boom.
Boom's coming. She might bite you on the ankle on the way there. Come, little one. I can show you the cart too whenever, if you want.
Okay.
Because I can explain that we take the carts with us when we go.
Oh, I see.
So these are most of my motorcycles. I have a few more. I have a couple in my garage in California and a couple.
These are all yours.
Yes, sir. And I like with everything, I have a specific thing that I like, and I like Harley Davidsons that are what are called big bikes or FLHs that were made from 1965. I like the 65 to 71 ones. Those are my favorites.
Okay.
So I have almost all of these are 65 to 71. The one on the end is a 37. It's a 1937. They all have a little bit of a story to them. So those are those bikes, you know.
That's cool.
Um,
Man,
everything else out here is a customer's something or other.
okay. And do you keep parts like for these? Because I imagine it can be difficult to find parts.
At all those swap meets I go to, I buy a lot of stuff. I'll show you if you want. We can go back in the parts department. I have another building that has a lot of parts in it, but the small parts we keep here. It's hard to keep parts for everything, but the things like tune-up parts and things like that for motorcycles and cars that we know we do a lot, I buy a lot of that stuff. And I'm crazy stickler for the correct hardware on things. If you'll notice, I don't like mix match hardware and things like that. So we have a lot of hardware, and I can show you back there if you want to see that.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
My cart.
Oh, this is your car. Okay.
Yes, which matches my box.
This is a huge cart.
Yeah, it's an Epic cart, the bigger one.
Wow.
We take our carts to set. They have a place to put them in the box trucks. So
Oh, okay.
this is the stuff I use all the time. I guess I would say this set is my favorite set of sockets. It's an SK quarter-inch drive, has metric and standard. I don't know why I love that set, but I just do. But all the different styles of spark plug sockets that you can think of, every weird size. I love these snap-on quarter-inch ratchets. I have all different ones. I have the little teeny ones. I have the 3/8 version, half-inch version. Let's see if there's anything really too exciting in here. I like my long extensions.
Oh yeah. I like that it's enclosed.
Yeah.
Like some carts have it where it's kind of
On the
exposed.
outside, yeah. These are my old T-handles from when I was when I raced motorcycles. Look, they got moved around a little bit. I used to carry those with me to every racetrack that I went to when I was racing motorcycles. Yeah. I don't think it's that exciting in here, but it's just stuff. It's mostly what I use a lot of. Some of it's doubles of what's over there.
Okay.
My snap-on wrenches are mostly all over here.
Oh yeah.
Then I have some tool rolls that I take with me, and if I need to grab them to walk over to something.
Okay.
I wish it was a little more neater. I just bought this hammer. It's the last tool I've bought.
Okay.
I just bought that
It looks nice
recently.
in here.
Yeah, it's nice and big. I didn't have a giant hammer, so this drawer doesn't have much in it. I have to have room to put stuff if I need. So.
Okay. What was the? Sorry.
go
what
ahead.
was in that guy?
Oh, this is truck wheel lug sockets for big trucks.
Okay.
So sometimes when I'm on set, I do big truck stuff. So, and I have a bunch of pullers in here and some gloves, but my puller stuff is back there, just in case I need to wash a box truck real quick. I don't know why that's in there, but it's in there.
Does this stuff get like real jostled around when you're?
It does.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah, and I have to kind of unjostle it a little bit. But that's why I try to keep the stuff in here is in a lot of these in these magnetic holders.
Oh, okay, yeah.
These are magnetic holders. Since it moves a lot, it stays in the magnetic holders. And these all fall off of there every time they go somewhere. But and my funny cartoon where a guy says he's taking his mom to the hip doctor, and his son says, "Is he gonna meet any groovy chicks?"
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Before I forget, do you have your favorite ratchet?
I guess this ratchet, for some reason, this quarter-inch drive long one, is my go-to. I guess that's it.
Okay.
When I'm doing bigger stuff, I like this ratchet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I keep my favorite ratchets over here. I have a hard time deciding which one's my favorite. There's my favorite 3/8 drive ratchet. I'm gonna have to break something big loose. And I like to use the little short ones, like I said.
Yeah.
Break it loose with that, tighten up with that. Come on, Boom, we're going back here. Edit out all the walking. So back here is mostly hardware, but there's a lot of parts in here. This is the gasket bins. This is these are
Holy cow.
These are gaskets. These are pipe fittings, things like that. A lot of different fittings. We got the hose stuff here. This is paint stuff. This is all kinds of hardware. There's so much hardware in here. There's hardware for American cars, hardware for Japanese cars when we do Japanese car commercials. There's stuff for British stuff. There's all kinds of different hardware. A lot of small hardware things in there that we might take to set, the little small kits that we can take. Chemicals and whatnot. This is a lot of different, just different stuff. There's seals. Man, we have seals on top of seals. This is all hardware back here. There's so much stuff we have, and then things like water pumps and fuel pumps and things that go bad a lot on older cars. I don't like putting things that are import on American cars. So when I find them at swap meets, I'll buy American made stuff. And speedometer cable, everybody needs all those, and wheel cylinder kits and wheel cylinders, and we got hardware kits for engines, fuel filters, all kinds of different things up here. Original hardware for GM cars, and we have all sorts of business up there. Hose clamps. Oh my God, there's so much stuff. Rivets, and everything you can think of is in here. And I mean, these when we work on a big project, there's one of these shelving units for each big project usually.
Okay.
And then we can pull that out by the car, and then we put it back. That way we try not to lose parts. And then sometimes I'll have customers buy bins, and then they'll be color coded. Like the yellow bins are for one car, and we have green bins for another car, things like that.
Okay.
And over here's a lot of tune-up parts, spark plugs, made in America spark plugs, Champion spark plugs.
Oh my God.
A lot of those would fit my car. That's why I have to mention.
So these aren't things you can just buy now.
You can't buy American-made spark plugs really anymore. So it's sad. They're made in Mexico now, but that's fine. And then these are a lot of them American. Some of those might not be American, but that's for GM and Ford cars, but Champion and Chrysler. And then we have a lot of tune-up parts. Is this gonna bore the shit out of you?
No, this is fantastic.
These are all kinds of points and condensers because I don't believe in electronic ignition unless the car had an electronic ignition. So we put points and condensers in everything, and then
Oh my gosh.
distributor caps down there below. That doesn't like to stay shut. These bins that have the purple tape, these are my personal Harley Davidson parts, and the guys that work for me know not to touch anything with it. This is a wiring bench. We can wheel this out if we're doing a big wiring job or do small wiring jobs here.
Okay.
This is all different wire connectors, and we make a lot of battery cables, and there's a lot of shops around that bring burn up wiring harnesses, and I'll make them a wiring harness.
Oh, I see.
So do that.
So I do have a question.
Yeah.
Just because I don't really understand it. You say when you have like a car commercial, you have to work on the car.
Yes.
What do you do?
Well, I don't do any of the, I personally don't do the work on the car. The guys that work for me, that is if they hire, I'll say us, because it's not really me. I do the driving to look after the vehicles, whether it's the motorcycles on bike riders or cars on a photo shoot. But cars and car commercials, what a lot of people might not realize or might not care, or maybe care, is say to shoot inside the car. They might take the doors and the seats out to put the camera inside the car.
Oh.
Or in some cases, we build things like a buck, where we make a car where you can cut the top off and you can take the top off and then put it back on. We've done that with a bus.
What do you do that for?
That way you can maybe shoot it in different directions. Like sometimes it's called wild. I think like they'll call them walls if they're walls, wild walls. But in a car, it's called a buck. So you can make it so you can take one part of the car off and shoot it, and then put that back and then shoot it the other way.
Whoa.
Do things like that. We've done that with a bus before, like the whole side of a bus. I did that a long time ago when I was really first getting into the film business. I got hired to do the side of a bus because they wanted to track with the camera from the front all the way to the back, so they couldn't have anything on the side of the bus. So I had to make it, and the chassis of the bus goes up and over, so I had to make it support itself.
Okay.
And then that way they could put the camera on one end and shoot all the way down.
Oh man.
Walking down that. So, and then, like I said, car commercials and things like that, sometimes they're off-road and sometimes things break. I've done electric car commercials and the damn car caught on fire. We've had that happen a few times, especially, electric cars are a little bit sketchy if you ask me, but they start smoking and you're sitting in a car and you're like, oh, I've had electric cars just quit, just everything go off on them while I'm trying to drive them. So production companies or the car companies will hire what's called a car prep company or a picture car company. You can call it either way. It's a picture car is what's being filmed. A car prep company is usually a company that takes care of the cars. Call it car prep to get it ready for a camera, whatever that takes. And in some cases, like recently, I bid something to make a cradle to pick a car up and put it on top of a skyscraper, a high-rise building with a helicopter. Okay. So we had to make the thing, and I actually did that once working for another car prep company, a sister company, if you want to call it. They're way bigger than we were, and they had me. I was in California, and I went up there and we did that for a Mercedes. So there's all sorts. You never know what it is. But then if we're working on cars for a movie or a TV show, it might be period cars, and things break on them. You know, especially while they're getting stunts done, or we might have to build a roll cage for a car, and things like that. Does all that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's very insightful because I had no idea.
And so, like, if something breaks on the car, say a door handle breaks, you know, I need the hardware to fix that. Or if some clips get worn out off-roading and then they want to shoot underneath of it or something. Or a thing that happens a lot are flat tires and dead batteries, because oh my God, when they want to shoot things, they just leave the cars on or leave the headlights on at night shoots, but the car's not running. So on a motorcycle movie we worked on, we were just killing coils because old Harley Davidson, the only way to turn the lights on is to turn the ignition on and the lights. And like, but we don't want them running because we're running sound. So they'd have these motorcycles with the lights on, the ignition on. I bet we replaced, I'm not kidding, I bet we replaced 20 plus coils. And production, you know, the UPM is calling me like, why are we spending all this money on it? It says ignition coils and, you know, and points, you know, like because the director and DB want the lights on and we're just killing the lights. So we need all those little parts for all that stuff.
You've got such an amazing setup here. Like this.
Thank you.
I can't believe how, I don't know, it's just so cool. I've never been in a shop like this. So
well, thanks. It's very flattering. I'm very humbled by people enjoying my place. It's very humbling that people like what we have going on or what I have going on and what my my tools and stuff. I hope there's people out there, especially young guys that want to get into being guys and girls. Sorry, I should say especially young guys and girls that want to get into cars and motorcycles. And I hope they see that, you know, I mean, I didn't come from anything really. You know, I didn't have any, my parents weren't wealthy or anything like that. You just can do it. If that's what you like doing, you'll do it.
I always like to ask, you know, guys that have been in it for a long time, do you have any advice for the younger guys that are looking to get into, you know, some type of mechanical?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have more advice than they want to hear. Do you have an hour and a half? How long is this thing? No, I think I'm gonna steal something from someone else who it was about a different line of work, but I don't know. I think the best advice I can give somebody, they already know they want to do this, buy good tools, buy ones that you'll have forever. And if they're guaranteed for life, then when they break, you bought them once.
Yeah.
You know, I have a hammer over there sitting on my milling machine I bought one hammer and that's the fourth one. You know, it's the fourth one of that same hammer. But so that's a good deal for young guys, you know, and girls.
For sure.
And so that's my advice, is to buy good tools and take care of them, keep them neat. My dad, who was a telephone man, he worked on phones. He always said, and it's funny, he said this, and when you're a telephone man, the telephone company gave him his tools, but he always said, you never regret buying the very best. I don't know if he lived by that, but he told me that. And I live by it. You know? I'm going to give her a treat. Give me
Jeff, thank you so much.
You're more than welcome.
This is just amazing. I like everything about your shop is just, it's just cool.
Well,
like,
thanks.
I love it. It's so cool.
I'm glad you like the toolbox and all the stuff.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
But it's very humbling that people like my stuff, you know, because
well, Jeff, thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
I'm so happy to be here and just to be able to like experience a shop like this. It's so cool. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Just so awesome. I can't thank Jeff enough. And also shout out Chris for getting us together. So awesome. But hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have a setup that you'd like to share on this channel, you can hit me up on Instagram or just send me an email. But till the next one, we'll see you.